February 12th, 6:30, Wednesday. And we'll start. We have lots of things to cover this today, as we can see. So, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it gradually. And first of all, let's go over the approval of minutes from January 8th.
A motion to approve minutes as sent via email.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right. Very exciting.
Or
We have-
agenda, did I say that wrong? Did you mean agenda?
Did you get the agenda?
No, you are.
Oh, sorry.
I have the agenda.
You have one? Oh, okay. We have.
So you need to call for a vote.
Oh, well, for our new members or?
No,
We had the motion and a
Oh, the
second.
motion, okay, motion is approved, I'm sorry. Motion is approved for approving our minutes. Thank you.
Okay, we don't have to vote on that. Do we have to vote on that?
You do, all in favor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All in favor? Okay. No, it has to be approved by everybody. I'm anxious to get through all the things today. So it might sound like I'm rushing, but yes, over the week, over the last 2 weeks, we have been receiving so many emails and, all the new persons and new activities with subcommittees. Obviously, subcommittees are working so much, and we have lots of things to cover. First of all, I would like to welcome our new committee members, Shelley Gear and John Halpin. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Pretty good. Highlighter.
Highlighter. Okay, highlighter. Yeah, highlighter.
Maybe it'd be appropriate for us to all say our names for them?
Yes.
Sure.
Have to make
I'm
sure.
Tony Tidwell with the city of Clemson.
Sally,
Nice to meet you.
know.
Eunice,
Bob.
Rita.
Cindy.
John.
Andrew. And I'm Chris.
You won't be tested.
Okay.
Just to let you know, I don't know if Elaine got in touch or not, but she's having sciatica issues. Elaine Richardson,
Oh, yeah.
so she's not going to be
She did send an email regarding that. So we'll go over who is present here, and she has an excused absence, so we'll go with that, her absence. I was not feeling well, so I was almost, but said, no, I'm not going to cancel. I'm not going to cancel. I'm not going to cancel. Not feeling well, so, but I understand that. In my opinion, I would like you to introduce yourself, first of all, the new members. Go ahead, we'll go with Shirley so we can.
Okay. I'm
Gear.
Shelley Gear. I came to school here many years ago, stayed in the area, married to Dave Gear. Him and Tony worked together for the city for a long time. I work in athletic academic services at the university, and I do a lot. I work very closely with Jacob Kaiser in recycling services, because I kind of manage the recycling in our department, and have done a lot of like sustainability issues, and I've just always been very involved in trying to be sustainable. So
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Welcome to our Sustainable Committee Commission.
Glad to be here.
member. Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
needed a few more heads.
My wife Renee and I moved to Clemson about 8 years ago or so. I was interested in ecology back in the Ranger Rick days of the early 60s and 70s, and it's kind of played out in different ways. But most recently, a lot of interest in native plants, and so we're closely with the Native Plant Society of the upstate.
Great.
Both Tony and Chris have been real helpful in carving off little bits of Shanklin Sam's and Earl Anderson Park to just put in a little native plant area, and so how I can help, and look forward to being here.
Thank you so much for joining our commission. As I said, we needed more heads to have more subcommittee members. Should we go ahead and act on our approving our new members? Motion?
They're approved, we just need to, the action item will be, we have 1 2-year
Yeah,
term available and 1 3-year term available.
1 2-year, yeah, 1 2-year and 1 3-year term available.
Shelley, I have no preference, so if you have a
I,
preference.
it doesn't, it doesn't matter to me. I'm very excited to be on it. I don't mind the 3-year, but if you, flip a coin. Okay.
So,
Okay.
all agree? Motion?
Sure.
And that will require a vote, a motion, a second,
Yeah,
and a vote.
motion, vote, all agree? Yeah. Should we do for both of them together?
Just make sure we do a motion.
Motion,
I move
motion,
that,
yeah,
I move
motion
that
to-
Shelley serve a 3-year
Shelley
term
ter-
and John serve
For 2
2
years.
terms.
Second.
Very good. Second.
All
All
in favor?
agree?
There you go. Awesome.
Who seconded that?
Public comments, anybody here who would like to say anything?
Hi, public.
Hi, public, yes, you have 3 minutes, go ahead and.
You want to step up to the podium? That way you'll be on the microphone, we can hear you.
And also somebody's recording you, so you're on camera.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Cassie. I'm the Director of Sustainability at Clemson. So this is part of graduate student government. And basically, we have a lot of initiatives that we want to get done. And one of those include expanding recycling to at least downtown Clemson. And so we kind of wanted to sit in and hear what you guys are working on.
Oh, wonderful, how wonderful, it's really, really wonderful thing. We always look forward to work with Clemson University and whenever we are doing something together. So this is a great opportunity. Thank you, Tony, for being on that, participating and being on the Clemson University Sustainability.
Can you say your position again?
Yeah, so I'm Director of Sustainability. So it's a part of graduate student government. We have internal and external committees. And my Deputy Director, as Nina, is here, as well as one of my senators.
Wonderful. So you're all 3 students.
Yes.
Awesome.
Students.
Well, so glad you're here.
How are you connected to GSG?
So we're just one of the external committees that's a part of
The
it.
GSG, okay.
Yes.
I do work with GSG, that's why I was wondering that, yeah. Oh, okay, wonderful. Absolutely great to see all.
That's great. So you're looking to work with the city does Clemson already have a route where they pick up recycling and you guys are just wanting a drop point?
So I guess not necessarily. We were just trying to brainstorm ideas. We went around today, me and Megan, to a bunch of different bars and restaurants downtown to kind of figure out what it would take to get recycling implemented back. And there were a few suggestions. I know the owner of Evolve and Backstreets, they were saying if there were some receptacles so that way they could sort it out there, that could be an alternative, and then we could take them to Kite Hills somehow. So I guess just kind of brainstorming ways that we can at least get it to the downtown strip of Clemson.
I like that. One of the things we've talked about here before is expanding composting initiatives. And I think if you're the director of sustainability, then if you could get one extra of those little trash cans that we have for compost, that would be very cool. Because I know Clemson has a pretty large composting program.
I know, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Are you looking more at the restaurants and businesses or also the apartment buildings?
So that was something we discussed too. I guess it just kind of depends on the funding that we can receive. We do have the graduate student government budget, we're allocated some of it. So if we can implement that, then we're hoping to. We kind of just got restructured and organized this semester, so we're trying to build out some of our initiatives. But yeah.
So you submit your budget to GSG?
So I guess my committee has already allocated a budget that we were given at the beginning of the year. And so basically, though, we can request additional funding. So like we have, I think, 6 events that we're doing this semester. One of those is the Sustainability Symposium, which my deputy director is organizing. So I'd love if some of you guys could be a part of it as judges maybe. But yeah, we have about, that's what we use to estimate the budget, but we do have a big rollover of funds since we didn't use most of it our first semester since we were kind of just transitioning GSG internally. So yeah.
Okay. I just want to add this information about GSG. I think that GSG receives all that funding from the students' tuition. It's included in their activities fee, isn't it?
What's GSG?
GSG is graduate student government.
Yes.
GSG, yeah. It's graduate student government, and that's their funding is coming from students and their activities fee.
Right, and we also receive funding from
Funding.
external, like I think we have sponsors that sponsor certain committees as well.
Yeah, that's so they basically they support so many organizations student organizations on campus for any of the activities for.
It would be interesting if the developers could be urged to make that part of their plate, to encourage and provide ways for students to recycle in the apartments.
Yes.
Yeah, so our primary role in this subcommittee, or in the sustainability committee, is to make recommendations to city council. So if you guys have a plan and you come present it to us, we would certainly recommend it to city council.
Is there like a monthly period that you guys have these kind of meetings with them and where we would present, or would this be something that we would need to schedule with you guys?
We have 3 subcommittees, so it'd probably go to one of those who would bring it to this committee, and then we would bring it to the city council, so don't worry about the dates. You just have an idea, you
I mean,
come
we
to
meet here
Rita or Andrew.
Yeah, this is our monthly meeting, and you can definitely connect with us. And usually, I'm aware of when GSG is having these meetings. Usually, through the student organizations, I know that when are they having these meetings where the students are presenting their cases. So that's one of the things. Well, that's good to know you, and thank you so much for coming here and
Thank you.
connecting with us. Actually,
No problem. Thank you so much.
and thank you for bringing your partners. So we have done the first one before, action item, committee vote, new member, term limit. We are done with that, which is good. We'll move on to discussion items. Subcommittee reports and discussion. So our subcommittee report, who wants to go first?
I can present on the wildlife real quick.
Wildlife subcommittee, yes.
This was our best month by far. We had 7 people sign up, which still doesn't sound like a lot, but that's easily the most we've had. I think the Nextdoor app, I got like 4 emails that next day, so that seems to be working. So some of the bad news is though that we still need, so we needed 90, we need about like 80 residents still, and so that April 22nd Earth Day may be a little bit too aggressive. One thing though, just real quick though, is I do think spring we can really utilize it. Everyone's gonna be kind of in the mood to be outside doing stuff. So I have, just real quickly, I met with the Botanical Garden, Allison Jones and Sue Watts, and they're gonna tell people, and they're advertising. It was on their Facebook page this Saturday I saw, which was nice. I talked to Mike, he's the Entomology Museum. He's in charge of that. He's gonna be posting it. And then Sarlin Library, they have that seed library, that seed bank. Now I know that's in Liberty, not in Clemson, but they're the only one. They're actually going to each individual library once a month, but they can get 10 free seed packets with a library card and a resident. So I'm hoping that we're gonna have a post up there, it's advertised, and then I'm speaking there, I think it's March, I'll have to check it, in late March, I'm doing a wildlife presentation there. And then in April, I'm meeting with the Rotary Club, we'll do a wildlife presentation there. And then the 18th, just briefly, I'm gonna mention it, with the League of Women Voters, kind of tell them about the Sustainability Committee, what our department does, and then obviously the wildlife thing. So that's what we have planned.
Do you get, like if somebody, because we got certified last year.
Yeah, no, I saw that. So yeah, so like someone got certified today, actually. So yeah, I think it comes to, I guess it's registered under my name. It's weird. It was started back in 1997 and then like it kind of dropped off. And then I picked it back up in 2013. So when anyone registers, it may take a few days, but I do get a notification.
Okay.
And it goes to the total. So yeah, it looks like you did it. It even tells me the date. It looks like 2023-8/18. So August, I got you on here at 204 Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it shows up. I get all that stuff.
Okay.
So what's your deadline?
I was thinking April 22nd, which is Earth Day, but like I said, that would mean we're getting basically almost a person a day or 2 people a day. So that was, I think we might, unless we have a crazy turnout spring, that may need to get pushed back.
So can I suggest something? I feel that is slow, so is there any way we can do a drive, which means, because I did it in my neighborhood, during our HOA meeting, and then twice I have sent information to everybody, but people want it, but the way it's goes, like you have to go online, you have to click the link, you have to register. Not many people are doing it, so is it possible that we can do a drive where we can have a event where we are just registering people, we are giving the opportunity to talk about it, and go over other things, when we are talking about what we want to do in spring. There are a couple of activities. I've talked to Tony about it, and that will be probably another good approach where we can talk to people directly who are coming to this particular event. Or we can do something in Botanical Garden. Maybe one day you stand there and with your laptop and ask people that you want your yard to be something like that. And that's one of the approach came to my mind.
That is a good idea. So the only, I've kind of tried that. So the only thing where that gets a little bit weird is you're signing up and it's $20. So I mean, you would be getting like their credit card information. It can get a little, I've tried that once and I was like, ooh, that felt a little weird. Because I was literally taking their credit card and entering all the information and I was like, I shouldn't be doing that.
Well, there could be one more thing that you don't do that. You don't take their credit card or anything. You can just at that time just ask them to their name and phone number, and if somehow we can, I know that's too much to ask. Call those people and then remind them that go and register, and maybe then we send them email or something, ask their email address, and if we really want this to do very aggressively.
Yeah, so what I think is going to help is with all these presentations we have coming up in the spring is, just talking to people in person and then following up with an email like, hey, did you have any issues signing up? Because that's one other thing is a lot of people, they're getting directed to the $100 sign up, which is like start your own campaign. So that's easier to get to than the actual just add on to original campaign. So some people are experiencing that. So there are computer difficulties that are happening for sure. So maybe if we talk to them in person, we can even explain like, hey, it's kind of complicated. Make sure you go to the link that's on our handout.
Is that a QR code?
The QR code is, the one bad thing about the QR code, that takes you to the homepage. So that's where people are getting misdirected. This one is, our personal one is good because it takes them literally to the be added on to the Clemson one.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the QR code seems to be confusing people because it just takes them to the wildlife homepage.
Okay. So it may be good to do, like Rita was saying, do a drive, maybe at the tree giveaway, if you could set up like a tent and a table and, I don't know, have merch, like if you had hats or something, hey, if you sign up.
Tree giveaway is a kind of incentive, we can do that, one of the things.
And I still have a ton of native seeds, so we can always give away packets of seeds and stuff.
I've been handing those out.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Because we are coming very close to our deadline.
I know, and that's why we may have.
That's why I had in my mind that what else can we do?
I think my plan was to have us register. I mean, we'll still do that, and maybe kind of see what this next month does, and then maybe readjust. So I was thinking, ideally, we'd be registered in spring, but I'm thinking now we're actually gonna have to use the momentum of spring to get people registered.
Yes.
Could you do like on the, when the Public Works comes to do garbage and they put
Oh,
hangers and just target certain neighborhoods,
That's a good idea.
that have, bigger yards and trees and everything, and put the QR code on there.
That's a good idea, because yeah, that goes out. That is a good idea.
Yeah, and you can make a QR code directly to the link.
To the link, you can do that, okay.
It's pretty easy online.
Clemson Connection came in the mail today.
I was about, yeah, that's the last thing I was gonna mention, I saw it.
Emphasizes, so
Yeah.
maybe that'll help.
It's, I had it pulled up, but yeah, it looks like we got a sea wildlife here, it's, you guys wanna see it, but I'm sure you'll get it. But this is, it looks good, it has the owls.
I got it.
You got it, so yeah, it looks good.
And that's what I posted on my HOA, like, I sent you 69 people. Twice. And it's on our social media.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, our neighborhood social media, I posted it. I'll put another reminder on our social media.
The one thing that I've learned is it's just gonna be, it's gotta be like consistent, so it's like, probably the fourth time they see it is when they'll actually sign up. So-
Yeah, so that's another thing. Like right now, it's like not many people know about it. People who want to sign this thing, so they would like to know a little bit more about it, and that's where the personal touch. And as you were saying that, we have a tree giving event coming up, and we'll be, just people will come there, and maybe at least we can take their names, email or something, so we can send them reminder.
Yeah,
that
no,
sort of
that's-
thing.
Yeah, we can have almost like a sign-up sheet, and I can follow up.
Yeah, sign up sheet or something like that, and email. Yeah, it is extra work. I know you have to send email to everybody, all those people. I know that. But if you want to really be aggressive, then we'll have to do something about
Friends
it.
of the Garden sale that they do at the Botanical Gardens might be a good
Yeah.
opportunity for that as
Yeah.
well.
And that's coming up soon too.
They usually have a Carolina certified yard table there, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
where
that-
those complement or where those conflict.
Yeah.
But the student plant sale would be a great time too, and it's usually about the same time in the spring.
Is that also at the Botanical Gardens?
It's on campus in the, whatever building that is.
Okay. I didn't know about that one.
It's much cheaper.
Okay, good to know.
Shall we move?
Yeah, that's all I got for wildlife.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for updating, and we'll definitely try to find more creative ways to work on
So it's
it.
the NWF.
Staff report, Tony.
Oh, no, we've got energy efficiency
Oh, we
subcommittee.
did. I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm just so eager to find, to push you.
Energy Efficiency Subcommittee met February 4th at 4 p.m. at Nettles, and we discussed both long and short-term goals in 3 areas: city buildings, what the city owns, the city services or practices, and encouraging city residents or businesses to be more energy efficient. We some of the ideas we talked about were energy audits of the city buildings, allowing some city Zoom meetings, work from home by city employees, charging stations for EVs at key locations, having a sustainability fair and outreach materials, and having energy efficiency ideas in future community connections, increasing residents' awareness of energy efficient appliances, and adding a sustainability rider or budget item to the city budget, and increasing awareness of composting. We will come up with motions for future meetings regarding these. But we did discuss the GRP Wegman Project Development Agreement, and I have a motion regarding the energy audit, which I'll give right after this report. Our next meeting is February 25th at 4 p.m. at Nettles, and so I move on behalf of the Energy Efficiency Committee that the Sustainability Advisory Committee recommends the City of Clemson hire a company to do an energy audit of all buildings owned and utilized by the city. This assessment would include the cost-benefit analysis of energy efficient practices and therefore money-saving opportunities.
Did we discuss it?
Not until it's seconded, but yes. The motion, sure.
I'll second it. All right, should we move on?
Well, he said he had some discussion.
You did, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yes, go ahead.
So, do we know, was there a price tag on this?
So instead of getting the list of what they suggest we do, they just sent us a contract.
I saw that.
And the policy of the city is you always have to have 3 companies, so you can't just hire them. So that's the reason, after our discussion, we made this motion that the city would go ahead and contact 2 other companies. And apparently, it seems like, instead of us getting, if you do this to this building, it'll save this much, we just get a contract saying, pay me several thousand and I'll tell you what we can do. So we didn't want to just use the contract, we wanted to go ahead with the process. So this motion is an effort to get that process going, because it's city policy to always use 3 companies, not 1 company.
Can I ask you something? So when you're talking about energy efficiency buildings, what are those buildings, first of all? Have you identified those buildings talking about?
I'm sure that we could talk about that here, but
Okay.
that's not so critical. But like this building, the police building,
okay.
One thing we discussed is Clemson Community Care a city building or not? Because it's owned by the city, but it's used by Clemson Community Care. So I think that discussion needs to be deferred for now and not use up committee time. But city owns and uses like this building, right, without question. And so this one for sure, and I'm not sure. At this point, we're just suggesting proceed. We want the energy audit. And we want the energy audit from the companies so we can say from the committee and then our committee, the larger committee, yep, go ahead with that. That saves us money. Nope, don't go ahead with that. That only saves us $10 or whatever. But we did not get that from the GRP Wegman agreement. Doesn't have any of that in it.
Does anyone know how much we're currently using or how much the city pays or?
I'm sure, absolutely. Ask the employees, yeah, sure. I mean, not us. We don't have an audit. That's why we're asking for it.
Well, I mean, but for that kind of information, like how much is the city using? I don't think we need to, pay a lot of money to ask those questions. Tony, are you aware of how many gigawatts or whatever we use?
It's certainly in the bills.
I wish I did.
We're not prepared to say that, but we are going to have to hire. So we've talked about some of the things, like there's at the CAT bus building, there's a solar array that is missing a part that needs to be repaired. So what we want, we know about that part, and we know it will make the solar go, but what we don't know is buying that part, saving us enough money to go ahead with us. And the city council is asking us to help them make that decision, right?
Okay.
I mean, not just that, but in general,
Yes.
we're the group that's gonna say, yep, go ahead with that. That's gonna save the city money. And so we're the committee that'll feed you that, but we need somebody to look at these buildings in that part. Like, what is the part? How much does it cost? How much does it save us? Right? So those kind of things, which the Wegman Group already did, but didn't tell us any of that, right? They
already
just told
looked
us.
through all of our,
They
have all of
looked
our.
at, we went around with them and we looked at City Hall,
Cab bus building,
the Cat Bus building, we looked at the rec,
Clemson Central Rec
we
Center,
looked at
and
the
the
Chamber
police,
building
and the police
and the
building.
police department, and we went and looked at utilities just outside the waste treatment.
So that's 6 buildings. They looked at it, and we were hoping to get that information.
And so did we give them information on those 6 buildings already?
No.
Okay.
It was a very general glance at things.
Gotcha.
Just so they could come up with here's a round figure for us to figure this out for you.
Well, in these consultation processes, we, as the city, are going to have to give them a bunch of data. So if we went ahead and started collecting that data on those 6 buildings and maybe had someone internal take a look at it, maybe the committee, I think that could potentially tell us more whether or not we need to hire an outside consulting firm.
Someone who has looked at it pretty extensively is our buildings superintendent.
Okay.
And he could provide a lot of that information. Because he's brought the LED proposals.
Mhm.
He brought one a couple of years ago for this building. So he's done a lot of legwork on that. But
So-
each building usually pays for their utility.
So for residential areas, I mean, we have Duke Power, they offer for residents to, often they will send you a report and they will say that, okay, if you do this and this and that in your house, you can save this much money. okay, they're looking at our bills. And they always offer to come and do this analysis.
To a resident.
So for
I don't know if
residents.
they do that for visitors.
So for residents, and I'm just thinking about it that for this also, we could, who do we all use?
Never hurts to ask.
Duke Power?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
still be Duke Power.
So why can't we ask Duke Power to do this? Can we?
The reason we made the motion, I'm realizing, is we had this contract and we needed to have an action on it, and we were not moving that we spend that money. Right? And so we thought, we want this information. Duke Power, Wegman, and one other could be our three, so to speak, companies. You know, maybe Duke Power is free and
Yes.
whatever. So the motion is an effort to get this process going, because we as volunteers don't have that information. So if you have a better motion, I'm happy to withdraw it, but we would like to work on the energy efficiency of the buildings.
Definitely, we would like to work on energy efficiency of the building.
Absolutely.
But if we can get Duke Power to do this assessment, because we are paying bills to them, and as I said that, I did not know, they would do it for this building or not, but they do send us this kind of thing, in our bill, that, hey, our bill was high, so they will suggest you these things, that you can do these things to save this much money, and they'll send you a graph and all those things.
I have no problem calling them. I'm skeptical on the idea that they're gonna climb up in the roof of the Cat Bus building in the pool and tell us about the price of the part, where to buy it, how much buying that part is gonna save us on energy for the pool building, right? Just they have a vested interest in selling energy. And we want to use less energy. But I have no problem calling them and withdrawing the motion if that's what you want. But we did not want to recommend paying Wegman the money.
I think the only issue I'm having is the motion to hire a company. I think we should do some due diligence, within the city, and before we make a motion to hire an outside consulting firm and spend taxpayer dollars on that.
This has got to go as a motion to the city council. They're the ones who make that financial decision. And I'm sure they'll have the same questions as we're saying, and they may say, oh, we want to do it, and here's a better way to do it. And we can give, whoever makes the presentation to council can.
Listening to the Wegman individuals, there was a decent amount of engineering that goes into this. It wasn't all that simple. It was very over my head, which doesn't take a whole lot, but I really don't feel like it's something that could be done internally.
Can you give the example of the circulation that you told us again?
Yeah, just, one instance was we have heating distribution problems in this building, particularly in this room. 2 of the units were replaced at a clip of $30,000 apiece. So replacing those units and putting in a split system is not an option right now. What could be an option is sealing the ductwork. That is very specific. It's a type of material that they blow into the ductworks and seals everything off. It's pretty complicated. It's not anything I would recommend us trying to recommend.
So that's
without
not
that
something
knowledge.
Duke Energy would do or a city employee would do?
Or the solar. The solar is a pretty complex system.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going to implement it for the utilities department to use to back up the waste treatment facility. Even replacing the part and retrofitting a part on an older system like the REX system is pretty complicated. So I feel like we could get very in the weeds with looking at utility bills, and that's really not going to tell us the sort of engineering ideas that they were discussing. I wish I had more detail, but they just really didn't provide that.
Okay.
It looked enough to know there's a bunch of engineering and a bunch of calculations, and they'd be glad to do that for us to the tune of, who remembers the
It was
number?
$9,000.
$9,000, and we just thought, well, before we pay them $9,000, there was a contract, you know, the city could sign it. We would recommend they get at least another bid or two, because if we're looking at duct work and window, you know, draft and seals, you know, that's not something somebody sitting at a desk can figure out, but could save, you know, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, the LED retrofit 3 years ago that Ron was mentioning would have been a $30,000 investment, but would have had a return after 3 years. So that was a pretty significant one. I know you were speaking about the LED, but just that sort of recommendation is the kind of thing that they were.
So that's what we want, the numbers. I mean, when you say these numbers, those are really, I mean, valid, at least to me, that, okay, we have to spend $30,000 and we are going to get the return in 3 years. Makes sense. It's very clear.
Those companies will get the utility bills of all of the buildings. They will do all of that. They'll compile all of that data. That's what they do.
Okay.
Right, so the purpose of the motion is asking the city council to hire a company to do this engineering and audit. So they'll get 3 estimates, we'll look at them, we'll say, well, yours is 9,000, his is 4,000, Duke Energy will do it for 2,000, right? And then we'll pick one, and then we'll recommend that to the city, and then they'll hire the company, and then the company will tell us, do these things, and we can still say, okay, do these ones, but not those ones. So that's all our process, but this is sort of to get the process going. Which it won't get going when we pass it. It'll go to the city council, who might say yes or no. Right?
I fully expect this building's superintendent will also be heavily involved.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's not so easy. It's a complicated process, I understand. And then, as you said, that, you know, changing all those 2 units, I know that because, you know, I have, you know, faced that kind of situation. So it's expensive, some of the things. So in order to, so all these things, you know, we really have to calculate our money, how much we are spending, and benefit. They say in 20 years you are going to get return. That we'll have to, you know, hold on to those things. And then how much these companies are charging. As you said, there is a, with Duke Power, which I do not think, but as you are saying that, they will say about your solar thing which missing and replacing, and they have their vested interest in that kind of thing with Duke Power. I understand
Well,
that
what we
part
know
too.
so far is us, the city council, and the city staff don't know enough about the solar to make the decision.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. Makes sense to everybody?
Yeah, if you call the vote.
For the vote? Yes, I call the vote for voting for this motion.
I think we had a motion. We needed a second
Second? We had already.
We had a motion in a
seconded.
second.
and a second.
She
Yeah, and
has.
we had
She
discussion.
has to
Excellent.
Call the vote.
Yes.
And a
Done?
vote?
We need to vote.
We approved, now let's go and vote.
Okay.
Everybody agree?
Do you want me to read
Want
it
to vote?
again?
Say all in
Yeah.
favor?
Vote?
All in favor?
Vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that enough to pass it?
That's enough. That was everybody.
So I'll need to discuss
Voting should be,
whether I need to go to
voting
city
should be
council
easy.
or write a
Once we are
letter.
done with discussion, we are done with voting. Yes. Yes.
Did you have a motion about the green preservation?
Tree preservation. I think there should be one.
All right. Tree preservation.
So the tree preservation subcommittee has experienced some issues with Elaine having health difficulties. So we were unable to meet, but I kept my gears turning in the background, and I have this document that I've shared with all of you. I'm hoping we can reuse these cover thingies because they were pretty cheap, so reduce, reuse, recycle. But there's a summary of what's in this packet, and if you go to the first red tab, I have possible redlining that I've done. There wasn't anything that I needed to take out of Clemson's current tree ordinance, but there's a lot that I went ahead and put on here. Not definitively like I'll stand on this, I'll die on this hill, but just some ideas to get the juices flowing about ways that Clemson could fortify our current tree ordinances. Which Clemson's current tree ordinance is on the orange tab, go Tigers. And then that's only 2 pages currently. As opposed to on the green tab, I have the City of Charleston's tree ordinance, which is about 16 pages. They are the ones, they're kind of the gold standard in the state.
And what's the red tab?
The red tab is redlining, so there wasn't anything that I needed to cross out.
So
change.
based on,
This is an orange tab.
Yeah.
We don't have a red
I
tab.
don't have a
Oh,
We
I'm
have
sorry.
orange, yellow, and green.
orange line.
That looks,
so
okay.
the,
Oh, so this
the red
is
tab
yellow.
is not the city ordinance.
Darker orange tab.
Okay. Okay.
So one is
Darker orange is not the city ordinance red line. What's the black part from?
The black part, actually, this is something that I meant to bring up. This was something I went ahead and changed it, and then I redlined, so it's actually not accurate to the city's original. That's why I included the city's original. A lot of the big difference on the black letter for the redlining section is that I went ahead and changed the language to include both public and private lands. I messed up, and so that's why I put the original's city's tree ordinance on here. But a couple things I just wanted to bring up is that the groupings that I made for trees on here, I was trying to pay tribute to this idea of the tree canopy being preserved. So I took what Charleston has done with the different classes of trees that require different protections and require an equal planting for whenever one of those is cut down. You have to plant the same class or better. I tried to do that with canopy sizes and like smaller trees and understory trees. But I don't think that's the move. I think if we're looking at the heights of trees, as far as the canopy goes, the goal is to preserve the canopy, but I think hardiness should be the main factor, the way that Charleston currently has it, where the trees that are going to last the longest, a live oak that lasts 200 years, shouldn't be in the same group as a laurel oak that's going to get knocked over at a hurricane that touches the upstate. So I wanted to bring this up so that maybe there could be some cross-pollination with the city arborist and the university to develop a category system, much like the one in the Charleston section. That looks like this. These trees are grouped by category, and they have different protections based on that. So yes, that's kind of where I'm at. I haven't had much collaboration with anyone on the tree subcommittee because of Elaine's health issues. So if we could get another member on the tree subcommittee, that would be fantastic, and we could have some meetings.
We have too many members.
Yes.
Too many else.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, so John and Shelley, if there's 3 subcommittees, if you want to be on any of them, you're welcome.
Okay, so the 3 subcommittees are here, the wildlife certification, the energy efficiency, and the tree preservation?
So far, you can create your own as well.
Okay.
Any interest?
Can I will, but I'd like to get through a whole meeting and find out what it's all about. And then,
Good
is
sense.
that okay? Okay.
No pressure.
I mean, you can be part of the meeting and then see what you can do. I mean, the
good
whole
work.
thing, it started, the people.
It's not great work, so.
Do we have a tree ordinance though?
Yes, it's
Do
on
people-
the yellow.
There's
orange.
kind of several.
Several.
And what you're looking at here is the public tree ordinance.
Okay.
But there are tree ordinance that just pertain to development and commercial.
Okay.
So that's a whole other, and then there are land regulations that sort of dictate both of these.
Okay.
So it'd be good to get a comprehensive look at all of those and sort of how they interact with one another.
Yes.
And
That would have been great to know.
if it'll help, I can talk to Jacob and we can get that broken down,
Yes.
because those documents can be, they're tough for me to go through. I don't know if
They were hard to find. I'm going to be honest.
Huh?
They were hard to find.
they're hard to find, yeah, and dig through. So I'll try to get you just those separated parts of the ordinances.
It is for us to take?
Absolutely. Yes.
How does that relate to private property as far as what type of?
So there is no tree ordinance that pertains to private property, like R12 property, just that residential single-family property, just commercial property. So when there's a development, a planned development, there are certain regulations for canopy requirements. There has to be like a 25 to 30% canopy planted back. If they completely moonscape the land, they have to plant back, or they can retain some of the existing canopy. But all of that has to add up to a minimum of 25% of that total property with canopy coverage. Some of the developments that we've had recently have went well beyond that. There's a development over on Berkeley, Poplar Ridge, I think it's called, and they're 60%. So there's been some pretty good buy-in. Of course, they have to. On the other end, we've had some developments like Bixby downtown that were not able to meet that canopy requirement, so they pay into a fund. That fund is used by us to plant trees elsewhere around town. So, and it's solely used, earmarked for that purpose. And we use it for tree giveaways, tree plantings.
So remember when the whole thing, this sustainability committee, started this thing, my concern was, I came here to join, and my concern was about, which you're talking about, the developers and what they're doing to the land and how they should be, what's the regulation? I didn't know that, what's their right, how much trees they can remove from a land, so they really do not create, take away all the barriers from other houses.
The buffer.
The buffer between the two houses and buffer between actually it's not about actually two houses or anything. It's like somebody's backyard, the whole thing. I have a very, everybody, all of us live in a very wooded area. There are lots of trees in the back, white oak, black oaks, and all those things. And when they just cut it, for me, a person who doesn't know anything about it, it was very heartbreaking for me to see all those big nice trees they are cutting, and I now see all that development, all that houses and the fence and all those things.
Absolutely.
The main concern was that. So how do we get to that? That's what I feel that way.
And that's why I added the Charleston Street ordinance for reference, because they have amazing, like, them and Port Royal are right there next to each other as some of the most well-protected trees. And they do it in a way that, Charleston is the historic city. They have a lot of trouble having progress, and we want to avoid that. But at the same time, I think moving that direction, if it's a scale from where Clemson is to where Charleston is, the more we can incorporate from them, the better we'll have at preserving our canopy. And they've even got rules like what you're saying about how if you have a protected tree that's of a certain size, it has to be 25 feet away from the property line towards you if you want to cut it down. Otherwise, you potentially face fines. So that's what a lot of these, the red letters have here. Some of the phrasing, I went over this today with an arborist colleague, or he's really more of a surveyor, but he works in Charleston, and I got my phrasing off on a couple of these, and so again, these are not hills that I will die on, but I think it's a step in the right direction, so.
See, if the private property, there's a balance, has to be, I mean, I personally feel as a resident, you know, I feel that there has to be a balance, because I see a couple of trees, you know, who are like just hanging right on, close to your roof, that which it falls, it's going to be completely destroying your house, roof, or whatever it is. So those things, you know, definitely, you know, I mean, the private property owners should have, be considered their decision, because if it falls, yeah, so that's another part, and balance.
Can you tell us about this? Is
Yes, this was what was, you guys were requesting a step-by-step process for this was what Jacob and Nathan sent for, this is like a voluntary protected tree program, call it a tree trust.
It was much simpler than I expected.
Yeah, it's very simple,
Yeah.
which is, there's a beauty in that. Chris and I were talking, Chris had some great questions before the meeting. He was asking, you know, it's worded like a survey, but I think they're intending it like a property survey. And then Chris also had a great question, does this have to be performed by a professional? It doesn't appear that it does. It appears that the property owner can do the survey of the trees that they want to protect. You could call it an inventory and submit that to the Planning and Development Department. I would say, you know, Chris and I were talking, it would be a good idea if maybe he or I would go out and validate that survey, but it seems pretty simple. So I think this is a great program that you can protect your own trees, and it's on your property, and it sounds like it's in perpetuity. So it could carry over to the next landowner.
That's what I was gonna, that's what I was gonna ask.
I guess I'm thinking a very practical thing after Helene. Our next door neighbor had a huge tree that developed a 15-degree list over our bedrooms. In the midst of Helene, how much time is somebody gonna come out to be able to go out to that neighbor saying, yes, you're approved to cut that down?
Yes.
Versus us saying, what are you gonna do about that tree before it falls on our house?
Yep.
And so,
Yeah, that's what you call an imminent failure, so that's immediate action.
Yeah, so that's what I meant by there's a balance, you know, people have to act on those things too. I mean, we all want to protect trees, as I said, that I don't like trees cutting on the way in my back. I just didn't like it at all, but it's gone.
But it's a great point, if that is a protected tree, what is the timing of the permitting process?
So do the developers also follow this thing is a protected tree or not? Do they go by that kind of ordinance, or they just don't follow that whether this is a protected tree, you cannot cut it, you cannot go?
I'm sorry, what was the
The
question?
developers, when they...
Oh, the developers. This really would just be for the private property owner. Developers,
So say,
different ball of wax.
say if there was a private property owner and then they buy that land, the neighbor's land, and the neighbor's land, is that developer going to have to agree, like, oh, well, I can't cut these down because they're protected trees?
They would have to get permitting and provide a good reason for removing those trees.
This is a really cool program, and if we could do flyers like we do for the National Wildlife Federation.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing to
Yeah,
push.
getting that out and letting people know it's available, I think is critical, because lots of people
Nobody
love
signed up
trees
for it.
that are on their
Absolutely.
property.
Well, when I heard the whole thing about it at first, I assumed you'd have to go back and amend your deed and do all kind of things like that. So this is,
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing with all the policies and regulations. When you mess with that, then you have to be getting into the mud, basically, to get into real deep into it. So it's a long discussion. So let's move on, since we have left only half an hour, 30 minutes to go over the rest of the things. And anything else about the Tree Preservation Committee? Anything else would you like to? All right, well, thank you so much for giving all the details. And my God, you did a good job. I mean, look at this, there's something good reading material you provided. You'll have to do this. learning, a lot of stuff. Learning, yeah, a lot of learning. It's less like a paper university students present for their paper writing. It's like that.
Oh, and last thing, I did send out an email giving everyone editing access to those. Maybe it was just with the subcommittee, but I want these to kind of be living documents. Of course, we can't alter them on here, but if you guys have any ideas and you want to comment on what we currently have, that's the place to do it. I'll resend it out to the whole committee.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our, thank you so much again, subcommittee, for doing all this work and for all the discussions. Let's move on to Tony, staff report.
Well, there's a lot here, so I don't want to go through all this. If you guys have read through it or glanced through it or have any questions, just for the sake of time, I would just highlight a couple of things. We are having the tree giveaway, speaking of trees, February the 28th. I'm not sure, I think they're all of the registered trees are gone, but there is a lottery at the end for first come, first serve. So when everything's said and done, you get in line and you can get yourself a tree until they're all gone. And they usually have 100 or so of those first come, first serve. Other than that, I just wanted to highlight the crew. During all this bad weather, they have been able to spread about 55 loads of mulch. So really getting after it. Mulch is really, really needed. We try to stay on a bi-yearly basis rotation, and that's tough to do some years. But they've really been doing a great job this year. And then, unless you got a question, Bob?
I was gonna ask, how do you and Parks and Recreation fit in with the comprehensive plan development or wording? Are you part of subcommittees that look at that, or?
Usually what they do, and I had approached Nathan a couple of times, Nathan Woods, about this. In the past, they do have committees. They'll have one for natural resources and the different components of that comprehensive plan. And they usually make that public for anyone who wants to join. I wasn't a part of the last one. The previous one I was in the natural resources. Nathan has expressed that he does want input this go around. So I haven't. There's just so much to keep up with. I'm glad that you were on top of that, Bob. So.
Well, there were a lot of positive comments about the natural environment of the city and whatever, and so, but that was just a draft that they were looking at. I don't think it's even, the draft is not public.
No, and the plan is not in play yet. They really haven't started working on it yet. But I can find out more information for you. I just don't know.
Well, yeah.
Anybody with any questions?
Any questions? I think discussed all of it, yeah.
Yeah, the last thing I just wanted to mention was I got to visit with the Clemson Sustainability Commission. It was a great group of folks. It was a Zoom, which was nice. They're getting a certification there with Urban and Community Forest Standard to become an actual urban forest. So that would be the university would be considered an urban forest, and this is through the Sustainable Forest Institute. And it is a pretty complex certification. They have 16 standards. They just went through quite a few of their audits. They had an on-campus audit, and they passed with a couple of things that they needed to clean up. Once those things are cleaned up, then they will be the first organization ever to be certified by this group, which is a really terrific accomplishment. And Pat Layton, I don't know if you guys know Pat, she's been working really hard on that. I got to present about the committee here, so that was really, really nice. It was greeted very well, and I did express that that the committee has really wanted to reach out and start working with other sustainability committees and commissions and groups. So I'm hoping that there will be a lot of great collaboration there. And they talked about the Sustainability Summit. I'm really not sure about the public participation. We do have Andrew who's going to
Yes.
participating, and Rita.
And yeah, I have signed up for that too, so.
Good. I talked to my professor and she said the public is absolutely welcome. And she said if that's not official, because she said she's not on the committee anymore, but then I can just scan you guys in. So, so.
But that sounds like a really cool
Yeah,
event
I
on
have
March the
registered for
7th.
that. Yeah, because Clemson University has the kind of resources they have, young people like them, see, something like that. That's a big resource. I always find, they have that resource, and we should, when we work together, it's a completely different kind of energy and resource we bring.
Sure.
It's very important that we collaborate, and as I say, being part of Clemson University, I always feel that we should have been working together. There's so many things, not only this, there's so many other things also, it like overlaps. So this is definitely one of those things that, if we can work together, that would be wonderful. Thank you for attending it, and thank you for bringing these people
Absolutely.
here. Yeah.
What landscape recommendations did you make to Potbelly and the barbecue?
Okay, so Chris and I both went out to the barbecue place. They are trying to do this all on their own, and they had, with their scope of knowledge, had picked some plants that probably weren't going to work. They were going to be too big. So Chris has agreed to help them with their design. So it'll be a sustainable design and something that will represent their business well.
That's great.
Potbelly, there were availability issues on their plants. And we had a conflict with trees and utilities, as always. So we just had to move some trees out of the way of the utilities and substitute some plants. So it was nice, simple stuff.
That's awesome. I really like the proximity there to the Green Crescent Trail, because you could be on the trail running and then go get some barbecue.
That stretch of 93 is going to be pretty interesting when it's all said and done.
We
It's
don't
gonna
have
be
many
pretty awesome.
crosswalks there, though, do we?
I'm sorry?
It's pretty hard for pedestrians to cross that street, isn't it?
Yeah, that's, it is a 4-lane,
Yeah.
so, yeah, there could be some issues, but hopefully as that continues to develop and it becomes more pedestrian, there'll be more identified crossing areas to make it safer.
Like that.
Thank you, Tony. Do you have any question, Tony? No. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming up with all that information and your report. And the discussion will continue, I know that. So many things, and we'll keep coming back. So we'll move on to next one, which is from Eunice, discuss having every meeting on Zoom.
So I'd like to defer this as a motion to the next meeting. I did talk to Assistant Administrator Allie
Gant, Deputy
Gant.
Administrator Allie Gant.
Deputy Administrator Allie Gant. After the pandemic, there was a rule made, everything has to be in person. That's probably why it's the case. She thinks, and we will do this in the subcommittee, it's an energy efficiency idea, not have every meeting in person. But she thinks if we made some suggestions that weren't everything on Zoom or everything in person, somewhere in between, that the city might go for it. So there's a task for us in the committee to come up with those suggestions. For example, subcommittees can meet on Zoom anytime, right? Or city groups can meet once a year, or, we'll come up with that and bring a motion next month, so, or in the future.
So when you're saying Zoom meeting, who is going to provide the?
It's another issue, but right now I said Zoom, what I mean there is virtual, maybe you should change it. So it's a sustainability idea to not have every meeting in person, it prevents traffic and it saves energy, right? So that's why we're suggesting it, whether it's Zoom or something else and how often it's allowed. Allie's impression was they would not allow everything on Zoom, right? But some moderate, so we at the Energy Efficiency Committee will come up with a motion and bring it to you in the future.
Okay, so we still continue to discuss this thing as you get further details about it.
Yes.
Thank you. Next one is mine. Discuss having a Green Crescent Trail walking event. I'm always for outdoors for spring before we come. So we talk about it, we see it on the map, some of you have gone partially, but together when we go someplace and make it an event, a spring event, I think it will have a different impact. And if we can do it before April 22nd, Chris, that will be something which we can talk about it. And it's a suggestion, and I would like people to think about it, that when can we do that? So
I did email him, because we talked about it
Yeah,
last
yeah, last
meeting,
meeting, yeah.
and I did not get a response.
I talked to Chad today about something else, but they are planning something, and they do regularly plan events. And I'm sorry, but since we were talking about something else, I forgot what it was, but they are planning a public event.
They did have a 5K, right?
Not a 5K, but I don't remember.
At
what
Gateway
it was.
Park, or was that not on the Green Crescent Trail?
So I don't think we could, I think we should probably check with the board there, the Green Crescent Trail board, but obviously they'll be in favor of it if we want to have one. I mean, why would
yeah,
they be
I'm sure.
opposed?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So we should decide when we want to do it and how we want to do it, and we should decide a date.
We could do something crazy and
all
like
for it.
walk to the Botanical Gardens Friends of the Garden sale, because they're actually Clemson's new perimeter road
Yeah.
walkway connects
Oh, yeah.
directly in right past the solar panel that goes to Gateway Park. So we could start at Clemson Park and walk there and have a destination where Chris is waiting for us, signing people up, for the foundation. So
That sounds like a good, I mean, that's what my vision is, that if you could do something like that. So you,
Look up the date.
yeah.
I don't know the date. What is it?
Look it up. It's in-
So, yeah, do you want to, I mean, you decide.
Okay.
Weather is kind of not very predictable right now. I'm just trying to look at the weather. So it should be sometime in March.
What if you did it during spring break when the students are gone and you encourage, okay. But kind of like the elementary schools do that bike to school day or walk to school day, you could just, walk the Green Crescent Trail with city, you'd have city people and start it. I haven't even done the whole thing. I guess you'd start park at the church there. The church, the Presbyterian church, is that where you would park, and then walk to the sale?
There are signs there saying they'll tell you away.
I mean,
There are
pick the
signs
date
saying
and
don't
then
do
pick
that?
one.
Oh.
You could park at Clemson Elementary School and bike to the Botanical Gardens, and then you could pick a place in the middle to walk. It looks like the plant sale for Everyone Welcome is Saturday, April
I don't have
5th.
bike, no.
That's also this. Is that the spring game? When's the spring game? Because that would be.
That would be probably in April sometime.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Somebody look that up. There is a second chance sale Saturday, April 22nd.
So we can decide actually. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Earth Day is
Well,
in there
'cause some
too as
people
a
wouldn't cut, they
possibility.
would-
Yeah,
go into
but
that.
you could do that. But I personally feel that it's a good event before April 22nd again. Sometime, when we come back from a spring break, then we are for sure that weather is going to be nice and warm, kind of nicer, not, there's no guarantee.
There are some available parking spaces at the Clemson United Methodist Church for Clemson Park. The spaces that are closer to the park. That was a deal that was made when the road was repaved. So there are, as long as church is not going on, those parking spots are available for park use.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think we've talked about this for like 3 meetings now, but I kind of stole the idea, and I'm doing something with the Honeycut project that I have with my club on campus, where we're having a representative from Botanical Gardens, hopefully the city, the university facilities, and some faculty. And we're going to walk the Honeycut extension that I'm in talks with Chad right now about extending the Green Crescent Trail onto campus in a green corridor. And I actually, if you flip this over, I have the whole proposal on the backside here for what I'm doing with my club. to extend that kind of green corridor and connect it to the current Green Crescent Trail. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. You're a student, so I mean, and where are you from? This
I'm
area?
from Florence, but I've been here for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, this, I looked at this, super impressive.
Yeah, as I said, that's
Super
why,
ambitious, I think.
Yeah.
Is the word.
that's why he has presented it such as like, the students, they present their paper. And I loved it, yeah. I mean, it's not easier to read when the students present like this. Their assignments and things like that, their project. It's really impressive.
I was told it reads like an academic exercise, so yeah. But put your vision goggles on when you if you take a look at it.
And like this, so what we are deciding that, I mean, everybody agrees that we should go and visit. Of course, people like it that way. So we should decide the date and time and how you want to structure. So who's going to, I mean, sometime in March. When we come back from, that would be third week of March, after our meeting.
Okay. I can send out an email and look at dates, and
Okay,
we can
that's-
put something on the books. I'd like for it to be concurrent with another event. That way we can kind of have a destination. I really like the interconnectedness,
Okay.
nodal distribution. So
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so we agree on doing this thing, and so I'm looking forward to this event. And this will promote our, whatever we are trying to create for this whole area, green Clemson, sustainable Clemson, all those things we can add that to our city. Next thing is discuss recent trail project, greencrescenttrail.com. Eunice.
So this is just a follow-up. You remember Chad was here and gave us the information on the Green Crescent Trail and asked us for this. And so I talked to him about the motion, and I'll read it to you. I move that the City of Clemson begin construction work in 2025 on the following two segments of the Green Crescent Trail. Number one, Nettles Park to Toddy's Place. Number two, Berkeley Drive between Ashley Deering, Toddy's Place, and Frontage Road.
I second that motion.
Oh, yeah. Everybody vote?
Any discussion?
Any discussion? So it's
I
basically.
will say, by way of discussion, one of us, and I certainly can do that, we'll have to go to the city council. So what Chad asked us to do is to get the city council to get going on what they've already promised to do. So one of us will have to go and explain that, and I'll get Chad to come along too. And both of these motions, it's the city council who decides it, but we're telling them, this is what we want first, so.
Let's vote on this motion. Everybody agree? In favor? Yeah. Motion passed. Thank you, Eunice, for bringing this up. And I know you sent an email with lots of things. I have on this thing, it's probably not really related to this thing. In my email, it keeps saying that there was mail delivery failed to somebody. Who is it that?
That's my fault.
Drop the T.
It was a failure to send to Shelley. And the reason is, I left the T off of net at the end of her email. And so it started kicking her email back. So then I finally figured it out, and I contacted Shelley, and I said, I'm sorry. So I sent her a whole bunch of emails in a row.
Thank you.
So now she's all good to go. So we'll be getting those for a little bit.
Yes, I kept getting emails.
I'm sorry about that.
This person, and why we are not getting, am I missing something? Or have I sent something which somebody is not getting? It was like that, but thank you so much for clearing this thing up. All right. So that was one of the things. Item number 7 in discussion is discuss getting all of the various sustainability group in Clemson together to share goals and objectives.
And we have one.
I was going to say, very timely for you to be here, for us to
Exactly,
discuss
yes.
this.
Well, we have two because he's here.
Yeah.
With Students for
Let's put
Stewardship.
something on the books now.
I did have a brief discussion with Martin Hamilton, the Executive Director. I sent you a little bit in an email that he is very interested in having input on on the sustainability fair. And he would like to come talk briefly, not in presentation, but at the next meeting, just come talk a little bit to us about that fair. If that's cool with you all, we can put it on the agenda.
Yeah, the more information we get, the more people we get.
Do we have a date for that, or?
Is
The next meeting?
No, the date for the
Sustainability
fair.
For the
is that
fair?
the one that we'll be at?
26.
That's
It
right.
wasn't, there wasn't a
No,
date.
no, it's not.
There wasn't? Sorry, I'm sorry about that.
What's
That's
the,
fine.
who's organizing the
I'm-
sustainability fair?
Is it the one at the Botanical Gardens? Is that what you're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah,
Okay.
so next year. It's
Next
not till 2026, correct?
What's,
Going back to my email, guys.
that's okay, yeah. It's still 2026, the sustainability fair is
Yeah,
26.
yeah, I think it's in 2026. But, you know, they're gonna start planning soon.
They're gonna start planning, he's gonna have a steering committee.
I think they're all got a grant to fund part of it.
He just wanted to come talk to us and
Yeah.
talk about
Okay.
input for that event.
And that's from the university, you're saying?
The South Carolina Botanical Garden.
Botanical Garden, okay, good, that's not bad, okay. Yeah. That will put everything on map, like, see, Botanical Garden is part of our Clemson, and we live for it. I mean, all these years I have seen Botanical Garden growing the way it's grown, and it's really huge part of this, Clemson.
Absolutely.
And our identity and, something like that. So I'm glad it's happening. And as I said, I'd love to be part of it in any way.
Do we have a rule of how many times a year we must meet? Because I'm wondering if one of our meetings per year could, instead of a meeting, be each of the groups. I don't know if y'all have seen it. They sometimes put tables down in front of here, and you sit at tables face to face, and each of the groups come in and say, this is what we're working on, this is what we hope to do in the next 12 months. And then the next group would say it, and so on. In place of one of our meetings, would that be a possibility? No
Groups of-
minutes, no public comment, just invite all the groups we know of that are Clemson. Do
Okay.
you see what I'm saying?
Like a summit?
It's it's kind of, yeah.
That would be wonderful, because then we could all be on the same page about things.
Well, that's very optimistic, Andrew, and I like that about you. But, I mean, it seems somewhat obvious that a first step is the name of all the organizations, a contact person, and, like maybe before you leave, Cassie, we could get that from you, email address, phone number, et cetera. And then we have Martin's, right? But the Sustainability Committee at Clemson, the Green Crescent Trail. So
Yeah,
I don't know what time of year would be suitable. It seems like the winter when there's less activity. But is that allowed, or do we have a rule of how often we have to meet per year?
I'm writing that down and I'm gonna ask that question.
Well, you are really good at figuring things out for us. If we give you too much to do, stop us, but
I
thank
just
you.
ask.
That's wonderful.
That's all
We
I can do.
appreciate that about you. What do y'all think of that idea?
I think that's
I think
great.
that's a good idea. It's a great idea, as I said, that the more groups
An annual
which we
thing,
meet.
an annual thing.
Yeah, annual thing, the more groups which we meet, as I said, there's so much overlap, it
Exactly.
happens with see, Clemson University is a complete whole state. It has its own, everything is own, probably it's bigger than the city.
Well, yeah, sure, the South
So-
Carolina Office of Resiliency could be included.
Yeah, so-
Is there one of you that might be willing to put up such a spreadsheet and start collecting the, are you volunteering?
No,
Doing the nose
Nose
goes.
goes. I will not be able to do that.
No?
That means he's out because he's the first one to put his finger on
Oh,
his
yeah, well, you're doing a lot, Andrew. But is anybody good at spreadsheets and keeping?
If people provide me input, I'll be happy to put together an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc.
Okay, so if we give you the information, you'll do just put it in the
Organization,
spreadsheet,
sure.
yeah, I mean.
Seems like that's our first step before we meet,
Yeah.
is to have the names
Have
of
the
all the
names.
organizations, the
Can we ask-
contact
Can you
information.
ask this beautiful young people, your wonderful group, to help us out in finding this thing?
And then maybe at a future meeting, we could decide, once we know if we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, then we can definitely.
Decide when
yeah.
it is and what, and maybe we do something special to incentivize people
Yeah.
for coming, right?
Definitely.
Not cookies. I don't know what it is. What would a sustainability person want? I
Native
don't know.
seeds. Yeah, I was gonna say, native plants.
Right,
Yes.
right.
All right, that's a good idea. That's a good idea to have all the different groups which are, who are doing the same, similar kind of work come together. And that's what people do. It's like your networking. So basically it will be a networking meeting. How about that? So that's a networking meeting we will be planning.
I love that.
Yeah, so you could just send an email out to the group, and then we could send you organizations that we think should be on the list. And that's-
Well, we all have his email address because he's now on every Tony email.
But
So,
are you gonna send a new email to everybody with my right email?
I did.
You did, you got everybody, okay.
So I did, are we still on the sustainability groups getting together? Mm-hmm. Okay, to bring it back to the kind of walking event, I do have one planned, and I'll reach out to you guys, but whoever can come to that would be great.
Yeah.
We will be looking at the site at Honeycutt, and we've been doing a lot of work with our club to make it presentable. Even though it's started out as hard pan clay, we're working.
what's the date?
So where's it located exactly?
It is on that 93 corridor, I think, on East Campus.
Is it the gully?
Yes, that is the perennial stream of Honeycutt. It's the,
It's right here.
yes,
Here's the map.
or is that the power plant and the recycling? Oh.
No.
Well, it's
What's the date?
It's like at the bottom
the
of
date
Kite
is
Hill.
to be decided. It is
That
in the
area.
email that has the site walk invitation that I sent everyone.
And you want us to submit our,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I saw that and I thought, well, who does he want to ask? Okay.
Anyone and everyone, the more the merrier. So, yeah, there's a poll for when there's 4 possible dates that we can do as a club.
Let
but
us
we-
meet Paul, it's in his
Okay,
email.
so what, when, around which month?
It is this month. It's towards the end of this month.
End of this month?
We're about 2 weeks out, I
2
think.
weeks from there. Okay.
No, about a week.
So it's like they're looking at the 16th, 18th, 21st, or 23rd.
Are you going to send a reminder or something?
Yes, once we get the dates, I get a couple more responses. Right now, we only have like 8 people responded.
You just need to show up.
You just need to show up with your vision goggles, and a willingness to move this. The whole goal of this is to coordinate with all the different sustainability groups, and then we all have a plan where we work together. My real goal is to get the city long-term plan, the comprehensive plan, and the university long-range framework plan just cohesive as can be with East Campus. So that means integrating the Green Crescent Trail. That means actually making the paths not be something that you get stuck in, because I've got my truck stuck in these ruts because the road is really bad. But yeah, we've got a lot going on there.
Yeah, that sounds good. So basically, I mean, it's a good idea to do this. It's also part of networking. Networking is definitely help our group in moving forward, and more people.
Absolutely.
People like you who can do a lot of, you can prepare documents like this. I'm impressed. You got A+.
Oh, thank you. There's probably a typo in there somewhere.
That's okay, as long as it looks neat, typos are, okay, it's okay. But I know the content is good, looks like reading material. It's not easy to read like this. Thank you so much, Andrew, for doing all that work. And next is open discussion on new business. Any new business? Yes.
One of the reasons I kind of wanted to join or applied to be on the committee is to find out about recycling and what we're going to be like, because the city stopped the pickup. And I also have a question or an idea. I was always told, you know, if you have a problem, you also have to have a solution or an idea for the solution. So when I walk around on trash day, the cardboard that some people, you know, break it down and put it in the nice piles, and it just gets trashed, right? And I know the city the city states that if you have a lot of cardboard and you make and you can call and they'll pick it up on Fridays. But I don't know that it's always really small in the, you know, community connection or on the hangers for the garbage cans. Is it something that the city could do just to, like, if they can pick up cardboard, is there a possibility of the cardboard truck going around on trash day and encouraging people to break their, you know, cardboard down, put it in a pile, and then, I don't know, if that's something that could be, it's just an idea. But then also when people move in to new homes or, you know, move to the area, do they get any kind of welcome packet, or like even with the garbage, like here are our city resources, we don't do recycling pickup, but Kite Hill is, you know, university, I mean, just kind of getting the word out. Just some ideas, and I was just wondering, you know, the whole recycling thing has really bothered me, because a lot of people that I know, if it's easy, when it was, you know, curbside pickup, it was easy and people did it. And the people who it means a lot to still do it, they take it to Kite Hill, but Kite Hill gets, you know, they're limited hours, and
They're not doing glass anymore.
and they're not doing glass, which everything says is the easiest thing to recycle. So just how do we kind of start again?
So, I mean, Kite Hill, frankly speaking, where I live, couple of years, I mean, last year I think they changed. The trash people, they stopped picking recycling in our neighborhood.
In the city, across
In the city, yeah. So then I started finding out where I can recycle my things. Now, you know, so then, of course, I knew about the Clemson University recycling, but then I struggled for several months finding their hours. Their hours are and then there was, you know, I went to the regular hour and they were closed for some reason. So 2-3 times it has happened. So I said, they're limited hours. They say that this is the hour, and then I'm there. And then I also found out that not everything I have can be recycled there. So, but by the way, I mean, I go to now City of Clemson Public Works. It's on my way to the gym, so I always go and recycle it there. So, I mean, so it's, as you said, that, yeah, I mean, the word has to be out and people have to be aware of it, so.
So I guess my question would be, is there a way to put it like in the next community connection, like a full page on here's what you can do, where you can go, and then,
Yeah.
Tony, with the city, I don't know
I was not
about
aware of it.
the cardboard truck. Is it a separate truck? It
It is a separate truck, and they do have a routine.
Yeah,
That's about all I can tell you.
yeah.
But I wrote down that question. I think that's a great question.
Okay.
My guess is that the people who drive the trash trucks also drive the cardboard truck on Friday, and on Friday there's no trash pickup, meaning that it would require an extra staff person Monday through Thursday,
Okay.
which is a huge price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the reason the city got rid of recycling is the price. We had staff picking up recycling that was going in the landfill anyway, so it's better to spend the staff on taking things to the landfill.
Yeah.
Because paper, plastic, and glass are not so valuable like they used to be, right? They no longer make money.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? Since China stopped taking it, right?
Once Pickens County,
Yeah.
and we found out that they
Yeah.
were not recycling.
I do know, and we can talk about this at another meeting, that one of the easiest things to quote recycle is food, right? And there are companies, for-profit companies, Gooder is one of them. I've been talking to the university and the city and the county about this for months, years, and I haven't gotten anybody to take traction. So if you're interested in recycling food, and the concept is you take food that's edible and put it in people instead of landfills, that's doable in the city of Clemson, and that would save tons of city money, right? And it would also feed people. And there's for-profit companies doing that.
There was a young man who worked at Aramark several years ago, and he actually pitched the idea of them taking leftovers to like some of the homeless shelters and stuff, and they were doing that. I don't know if they're still doing that, but they were doing it for a while.
There's some of that being done, but it could be done on a massive citywide scale. And you could also pick up leftovers of food and turn it into compost. You know, Clemson University makes compost already. So I think that might be perhaps the easiest because that infrastructure is already built out. We just have to bring it to Clemson. I mean, I do know how to do that, so I can talk to you about that if you're interested. But glass, what I know is there's a company I have the name, in Greenville that does make sand out of glass, and I have somebody looking into that now. We were planning, like at the Sierra Club, everybody bring your glass, and we'll drive it over there, right?
And that, I know there are places like the Swamp Rabbit Cafe in Greenville has days where you can bring glass, because I don't think, Greenville stopped recycling.
So
glass.
there's a company in
That's it.
Greenville that makes
Okay.
sand out of glass and sells the sand. And the problem with recycling glass is to drive the glass there, so city cost, drive the glass there, you get a little bit of money from the company. It costs more to drive it there and back, right? So it's a cost thing. So recycling, so the best thing is don't buy the stuff, right? Stop buying things. But we could talk more about that at another meeting. I think it's an important topic, and people are very interested in it.
Yeah, if we can recycle food, that's one of another thing which is very close to my heart, recycling food. But I don't know how city can get involved or.
I do.
You know that, so Tony doesn't have to go and ask another thing.
Oh, no, I will, and just send me an email
Okay.
with your question. I
Okay.
wrote kind of verbatim here, but
Okay.
I'll ask them to work.
Well, thank you, everybody, I think we had a good discussion on the.
Motion to
Yeah.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor? 8-2, all in favor? Should have.